There's a special kind of game that just swallows you whole. The kind where you glance up, realize it's somehow 3 a.m., and you never even touched your phone or thought about your friends list once. No matchmaking queue dragging you out of the moment, no battle pass timer ticking in the corner, just you and a world that actually wants you to get lost in it. These are the single-player games so good, they make multiplayer feel like a distant memory. Some of these you've already sunk 100 hours into. Some of them flew completely under the radar, and a handful of them dropped just a few weeks ago. So get comfortable and let's get into it. We're starting with the game that finally got Indiana Jones right. Made by the team behind Wolfenstein, this puts you behind the hat and the whip in 1937, slotting perfectly between Raiders and The Last Crusade. And it's not a movie you watch, it's first person, and you are Indy. Troy Baker is so good as the voice that within 10 minutes, you stop noticing it isn't Harrison Ford. You're solving genuinely clever puzzles, sneaking through enemy camps, and globetrotting from the Vatican to the pyramids, chasing a mystery bigger than any single relic. You snap photos with Indy's camera, brawl with that signature clumsy charm, and crack the whip to swing across rooftops or yank a rifle right out of a guard's hands. The atmosphere is unreal. Therefore, if you grew up loving these movies, this is the closest you'll ever get to living one. And honestly, it sets the tone for everything else on this list. Speaking of perfect, let's talk about a remake that somehow improved on a game most people already called the greatest of all time. Resident Evil 4 drops you in as Leon Kennedy, sent to rural Spain to rescue the president's daughter from a creepy village cult. But the original was action-heavy. This remake rebuilt the tension, added a brutal parry system, and made every dark corner feel like a threat again. It's that perfect balance where you feel in control with a shotgun in your hands, but you're always one bad room away from panic. The shifty merchant is back to upgrade your arsenal between fights. The village gives way to that nightmare castle and the island, and the whole thing just keeps escalating. The pacing never lets up, and the boss fights are some of the best in the genre. If you somehow skipped this one, you're missing one of the tightest survival horror experiences ever made. Now we go somewhere a lot stranger. Alan Wake 2 is survival horror, but it's also one of the most ambitious stories ever told in a video game. You play two characters, Saga Anderson, an FBI agent investigating ritual murders in a small mountain town, and Alan Wake himself, a writer trapped in a nightmare dimension trying to write his way out. The two stories twist around each other until you can't tell where reality ends. You'll even step into a mental space to pin clues to a caseboard and literally rewrite scenes to change the world around you. And then there's that moment. If you've played it, you know exactly which one. Remedy took a huge swing here and somehow landed it. So this isn't just horror. It's the kind of game that makes you sit in silence after the credits, trying to process what you just experienced. Quick one here, but it deserves a spot. Everyone remembers GTA Online, but the single-player story of Michael, Franklin, and Trevor is still one of Rockstar's sharpest scripts. And on PC, drop in the Natural Vision Evolved graphics mod, and suddenly Los Santos looks like a real city you could photograph. No lobbies, no griefers, just three of gaming's best anti-heroes, and a campaign that holds up over a decade later. It's the perfect way to fall back in love with this world. This next one is fresh off the launch pad. Crimson Desert finally released after years of hype, and it was worth the wait. You play Cliff, a mercenary trying to rebuild his shattered Greymane faction across the war-torn continent of Pywell. It's a sprawling, open-world action-adventure with combat that feels weighty and cinematic, especially in those enormous boss battles that fill the whole screen. It sold 3 million copies in its first week, and once you're out there exploring, it's easy to see why. The combat mixes grappling, brutal melee, and over-the-top special moves, and the world is packed with hidden ruins, factions, and that mysterious abyss to uncover. The scale of this world is the kind of thing you disappear into for a weekend and forget what day it is. Time to lighten things up. LEGO Batman is the comfort food of single-player gaming. You're cruising through a brick-built Gotham, beating up classic villains, swapping between dozens of characters, and chasing that satisfying ding of collectibles. It's relaxing in a way most games forget how to be. You can play it with a friend, sure, but solo, with a podcast on, hunting down every last gold brick, that's a kind of cozy that the live service grind will never give you. Sometimes you just want to smash some bricks and feel good. Now back into the dark. Until Dawn is the game that proved choices can actually matter. 8 friends head to an isolated mountain lodge for the night, and something is hunting them. Every single decision you make ripples forward through that butterfly effect system. Who lives, who dies, the entire ending. It's all on you. It plays like a slasher movie that you're directing in real time. And because of that, no two playthroughs are ever the same, which is exactly why people keep coming back to see if they can save everyone. Spoiler, it's harder than it looks. We can't make a list like this without these two. The Last of Us set the bar for emotional storytelling in this entire medium. The first game follows Joel, a hardened survivor, escorting a teenage girl named Ellie across a broken America 20 years after a fungal infection collapsed society, and it absolutely absolutely wrecks you. Part 2 then took everything you felt and twisted it into a story about revenge that splits players to this day. Love it or argue about it, nobody forgets it. The crafting on the fly, the white-knuckle stealth against both infected and humans, the performances, the world, the gut punches. This is single-player as an art form, and few games have ever come close. And right next to it, another remake that nobody expected to be this good. Silent Hill 2 came back, and it might be the best horror game of its generation. You're James Sunderland, drawn back to the foggy town of Silent Hill by a letter from his wife. The problem? She's been dead for years. What follows is a psychological nightmare that's really about guilt, grief, and the monsters we create ourselves. The fog, the sound design, the dread. It's all dialed up to perfection. Bloober Team reworked the camera to a tense, over-the-shoulder view and rebuilt the combat so every encounter feels desperate instead of clunky. People were nervous about this remake, so the fact that it exceeded the original's reputation is genuinely remarkable. Play it alone, with headphones, lights off. That's how it's meant to hit. Let's take a breath. Firewatch is short, but it sticks with you. You're Henry, a man who takes a summer job as a fire lookout in the Wyoming wilderness to escape his life. Your only company is Delilah, a voice on the other end of a radio. And from that simple setup grows a mystery, and one of the most natural relationships in gaming. It's just you, the wilderness, and a conversation. And somehow that's more gripping than 100 multiplayer lobbies. You knew this was coming. Insomniac's Spider-Man games have the single best traversal in all of gaming. Full stop. Swinging through New York City genuinely feels like flying, and you'll catch yourself just web-zipping between rooftops for no reason at all. The first game gave us the definitive Peter Parker, and the sequel handed the mask to both Peter and Miles. The combat is slick, the story respects the characters, and that city never stops being fun to move through. It's a pure power fantasy you can lose hours in without even touching a mission. And here's another open world that needs no introduction. Red Dead Redemption 2 is the most detailed world Rockstar has ever built. You're Arthur Morgan, a member of the Vanderlinde gang, living through the dying days of the outlaw era. The story is slow, deliberate, and one of the most affecting character arcs in the medium. Every town feels alive. Every choice has weight. You can spend 100 hours just existing in this world, and it never stops surprising you. It's a masterpiece, and it's all yours. Okay, back into pure terror. Alien Isolation is still the scariest game on this entire list. You play Amanda Ripley, daughter of Ellen Ripley, trapped on a decaying space station with one perfect, unkillable xenomorph, and it learns. It hunts you with an intelligence that makes every single hiding spot feel temporary. There's no winning a fight here, there's only surviving. The dread of hearing it crawl through the vents above your head is something no multiplayer match can replicate. It is tension distilled into a single, terrifying creature. Now let's go underwater. Subnautica 2 just hit early access, and it's already pulling people back into the deep. You crash land on an alien ocean world and have to survive by exploring, gathering resources, and building your own base across stunning and genuinely terrifying biomes. The original turned ocean exploration into one of the best survival loops ever made. This sequel adds optional co-op, but the heart of it is still that solo experience. Just you, the silence, and whatever enormous thing is lurking just past your headlights. That feeling of swimming into the unknown is unmatched. Time for something epic. Horizon Zero Dawn imagines a future where nature has reclaimed the Earth, and machines shaped like animals roam the wild. You play Aloy, an outcast hunter searching for the truth about who she is and what happened to the old world. The combat is all about studying these robotic beasts and exploiting their weak points with the perfect shot. But it's the mystery underneath it all that hooks you. The question of how humanity fell and what really came before. You'll climb towering tallnecks to unlock the map, override machines to ride them, and slowly piece together one of the best sci-fi reveals in gaming. It's a gorgeous, smart adventure that earns every hour you put into it, and there's a massive sequel waiting once you're done. This next one might be the most beautiful game ever made. Ghost of Tsushima drops you into the Mongol invasion of Japan in 1274. You're Jin Sakai, a samurai forced to abandon his honorable code and become something darker, the ghost, to save his home. The combat is precise and brutal, built around switching stances to counter different enemy types, and those standoffs make you feel like the star of a classic samurai film. There's even a black and white Kurosawa mode if you really want that old school cinema feel, plus a whole extra island to explore in the Iki expansion, and it is stunning. Instead of a cluttered map, the wind itself guides you. It's the kind of game where you stop just to look at it. Pure, focused, single-player beauty. Now for the game that swept every award show in sight. Baldur's Gate 3 is the most freedom you will ever have in a video game. It's a Dungeons & Dragons adventure where genuinely anything you can think of, you can try. You and your party of misfits set out to remove the Mind Flayer parasite in your heads, and the game adapts to every wild decision you make. Talk your way out, sneak around, shove an enemy off a cliff, or recruit companions with their own full storylines and and opinions about everything you do. You can play it with friends, but the solo experience is staggering. Hundreds of hours, countless paths, and an ending that's truly yours. This is the new gold standard for what a role-playing game can be. Time for something completely unlike anything else. Death Stranding is the strangest, most divisive series here, and its fans absolutely love it for that. You play Sam, a courier tasked with reconnecting a fractured world by delivering cargo across haunting, broken landscapes. It sounds simple, but the act of just walking, planning your route, and surviving the elements becomes weirdly hypnotic. The sequel takes Sam to Australia and refines everything that made the first one special. There's even a clever system where structures other players build quietly show up in your world to help you out, so you never feel truly alone, even though you never actually see anyone. It's slow, it's meditative, and it's the kind of experience you can only get when one creator is allowed to make exactly the game he wants. Quick powerhouse here. God of War Ragnarok is the explosive conclusion to Kratos and Atreus' Norse journey. The combat is some of the most satisfying ever made, every hit landing with real weight. But underneath the spectacle is a genuinely moving story about a father and son facing a prophecy that says everything is about to end. It's epic and intimate at the same time. A perfect example of a blockbuster single-player game that respects your time and your heart. Now for one of the most exciting brand new games of the year. Pragmata finally released after 6 years of waiting, and it was absolutely worth it. Set on the moon, you control two characters at once. Hugh, an astronaut with the firepower, and Diana, a young android who hacks enemies to break their defenses. You're working together to escape a research facility taken over by a rogue AI. That hacking meets shooting combat is unlike anything else out there, and players agreed. You're constantly juggling Diana's hacking grid to crack an enemy's armor while lining up Hugh's shots, which makes every fight feel like a puzzle and a firefight at the same time. It sold 1 million copies in just 2 days, and the reviews have been overwhelmingly positive. A totally fresh, original sci-fi adventure, and proof there's still room for brand new ideas.
From the team behind Little Nightmares comes something even darker. REANIMAL is atmospheric horror at its finest. You guide a brother and sister across a twisted, hellish island, searching for their missing friends while something horrifying is always close behind. It's built for co-op, but you can absolutely play it solo, and that loneliness only makes it scarier. The art style is grotesque in the best way, the kind of nightmare you can't look away from. Tarsier Studios knows exactly how to make you feel small, helpless, and completely hooked. If you loved Little Nightmares, this is a must. A quick under-the-radar pick before we close out. Will is one of those smaller, story-driven games that didn't get a massive marketing push, but quietly delivers exactly the kind of focused, single-player experience this whole list is about. There's no online noise pulling at your attention, just a game that wants you to sit with it for an evening. Sometimes the best discoveries are the ones nobody told you about. This one is for the old-school RPG fans. The Gothic 1 remake just brought a 25-year-old cult classic roaring back to life. You're the nameless hero, thrown into a brutal prison colony sealed off by a magical barrier, where rival factions fight for control. There's no map holding your hand. You learn this world by living in it. It keeps that famous, unforgiving difficulty and gritty atmosphere while modernizing the combat and visuals. It's a faithful love letter to one of the most influential European RPGs ever made, and a perfect example of a world that demands you actually pay attention. And right before our finale, the most heartfelt game here. Mixtape comes from the studio behind The Artful Escape, and it's a coming-of-age story you'll feel in your chest. You follow 3 friends on their last night of high school, replaying the formative memories that shaped them, all set to an incredible soundtrack featuring The Cure, Smashing Pumpkins, and more. It's short, around 3 hours, and that's the point. It's a perfect, emotional little experience about growing up and moving on. Critics adored it, and it's the kind of game that stays with you long after the playlist ends. And to close it all out, the game that has horror fans completely losing it. Resident Evil Requiem, the 9th main entry, just dropped, and it's a return to form. You play FBI analyst Grace Ashcroft, returning to the cursed Raccoon City, with the legendary Leon Kennedy along for the ride. Their 2 stories weave together into a heart-stopping survival horror experience. It racked up 4 awards at Gamescom before it even launched, and now that it's out, people are calling it a series highlight. It's the perfect ending to this list. Pure, terrifying, single-player horror that proves this genre is in better shape than ever. So there you have it, 25 worlds you can completely disappear into. No internet connection required. From horror to open worlds to brand new releases that just hit shelves, every single one of these proves that the best gaming moments are still the ones you have all to yourself. If we missed one of your favorites, drop it in the comments. I'm always hunting for the next game to get lost in. And if you want even more single-player gems, that video right there is calling your name. Go click it.